see you all. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Every time you come here, there's something new, isn't there? The lights and yeah. I am so grateful this morning to be able to stand before you and to speak freely from my heart. I am so grateful to be able to share spiritual principles that have changed my life. And I'm so grateful to be able to hopefully explain universal concepts to you in a way that can inspire you and encourage you on your spiritual journey. I'm so grateful for that, to be able to do that. You know, there are people who don't believe that and don't allow a woman to stand before a religious gathering like this. And there are people who don't believe that and they don't allow a woman to even speak or sing by themselves in public. And there are some people who believe that a woman shouldn't even be educated. Don't even allow their little girls to go to school. We have so much to be thankful for. So many freedoms. And not too many days ago, I gained another freedom for which I'm very thankful for and very honored by. But I have to say that the freedom that I'm probably most grateful for is the freedom of speech. In the unity movement, we know and understand the power and importance of words. We could say that we have a deeper, fuller, truer understanding of what freedom really is. And we know that with this true freedom, especially freedom of speech, comes responsibility. We know with true freedom, especially freedom of speech, comes the necessity of making wise and informed choices and decisions. And we know that with true freedom comes commitment. So this morning we're thinking about freedom, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about freedom of speech, especially about words and the power of words. So what is a word anyway? I guess you could say that it's a way that we communicate. But that doesn't really describe what a word is. That's kind of like saying a garage is for storing stuff. That doesn't really describe a garage. That's just what we do with it. But when I think of a word, I think of tone. But how is that tone generated? Well, our vocal cords vibrate, which generates a tone. Well, what causes the vocal cords to vibrate? Breath. We take a deep breath, causing our vocal cords to vibrate, and that generates a tone. Well, birds do that. I've got a whole bunch of them outside my window at 5 o'clock in the morning doing that. Coyotes do that. The bloodhound that joins in with the family when they sing Christmas carols around the spinet does that. That's a tone, but that's not a word. In order for it to be a word, it has to be formed. It has to be given form. Honest. Even. And this ability to give form to words, to speak words, is something only humans can do. Something unique just for us. It's a wonderful ability. Words aren't just vowels and consonants, though. And they're not just the tone behind the vowels and consonants. And they're not just the vibration behind the tone behind the vowels and consonants. And they're not just the breath behind the vibration behind the tone behind the vowels and consonants. Those are the physical ingredients of a word. But there's something in back of our words, isn't there? There's something that causes those things to come into motion. Something that uniquely expresses through each one of us. What do you want to call it? God? Anything else? Thought? Feeling? Desire? Choice? Intention? urge, inspiration, emotion. Something within us, an urge, an intention, a desire, a thought wells up from within us, causing us to take a deep breath that causes our vocal cords to vibrate, that generates a tone that we give form to, and out come our words into our world. By my words, I create my reality. Words are creative. And science is beginning to catch up with what metaphysicians and mystics have taught for centuries. In their new book entitled Words Can Change Your Brain, Andrew Newberg, you might remember him from the movie What the Bleep, and Mark Robert Waldman have discovered that words can change your brain. They found that positive words like peace and love can affect the expression of genes and strengthen our frontal lobes and promote the brain's cognitive functioning. Positive words help our brains to work better. Hostile language, on the other hand, disrupts certain genes that are specifically a part of generating neurochemicals that help protect us from stress. One single negative word can increase the activity in our amygdala. You've heard that word before, amygdala? Isn't that kind of a sinister sounding word? That's the fear center in our brains. And one single negative word can increase the activity in the fear center of our brains. One single negative word can release dozens of stress-producing hormones and neurotransmitters that, as a result, inhibit the brain's cognitive functioning, especially in regard to logic, reason, understanding, and even language and communication. One single negative word. Words are creative. A few days ago, Kathy was visiting her mother in the healthcare center, of which Lorraine's the director of nursing. And it was a particularly exhausting day. And she texted to me and said, "Please text me some words." And it was getting close to dinner time. I knew she'd be home pretty soon and we'd be having dinner, and I was getting hungry. So I playfully began to text her some words like lettuce, tomatoes, garlic bread. And she texted back and she said, "And also, please text me some God words." So I began to text her words like love, unconditional, peace, trust. You can feel it as I'm saying it, right? Transcendence. And she texted back and she said, "Thank you so much. That helped me so much." Even texting what she calls God words helped her through a particularly difficult day. So this ability to speak words isn't just to communicate. We don't even need words to communicate. And this ability to speak words isn't just to pass on information, just to fill up the air with words. No, words have a vibrational quality with them that go out from us, affecting our bodies, affecting our brains, just like Newberg and Waldman researched, affecting our experience, just like Kathy witnessed, and affecting our environment. That's the power of our words. That's the power of our speech. So this morning we're thinking about freedom, and particularly talking about freedom of speech. And if you take a look at the Declaration of Independence, you can see that our founding fathers really understood the power and importance of words. And I believe that you can see within the Declaration of Independence that they held to a truer, deeper understanding of freedom. Within the Declaration of Independence, you can find 4 elements of expressing true freedom. And the first element of expressing true freedom is recognition. Recognition is just recognizing yourself. Recognizing an unchanging universal truth about yourself, that you are a child of the universe, that you are intended to live freely in body, mind, and spirit, that you are made in the image of pure, unconditional love. And this truth wells up from within you. Our founding fathers recognized the truth about themselves when they said, all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and among these rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Recognizing the truth about yourself, then it wells up from within you, causing you to take a deep breath, vibrating your vocal cords, generating a tone to which you give form to, and out come your words. That truth creates your reality. So, living in the United States, we are afforded many freedoms, the freedom of speech. We can say anything we want to anybody we want to, about anybody, or about anything. But as seekers and finders of the truth, we know the power and importance of words. We know that by our words, we create our reality. And it's not so much that we just speak certain words. We lean towards good words and we stay away from other words. It's not an either or thing. It's an I am decision. It's recognizing the truth of our being that wells up from within us and expresses through our words. Now, with this recognition of who you are, usually comes the second element of expressing true freedom, and that's realization. Realization is basically when you recognize the truth about yourself, and that truth comes face to face with what we would call the real world. Maybe there's something in your life that's not quite in alignment with that truth that you've recognized about yourself. And our founding fathers recognized that there was something that wasn't quite in alignment with the truth that they knew about themselves, that there was a problem. They called it, let me find it here, a history of repeated injuries and usurpations by the present King of Great Britain. They recognized that there was something that wasn't quite in alignment with the truth. As you begin to recognize who you really are, you become more mindful. You become, in a way, more sensitive to events and relationships and experiences in your lives. And you begin to realize that they might not be quite in sync with that truth. And just like our founding fathers, in recognizing that there's something that might not be in alignment with the truth of our being, what do? That's the third step. We find a solution. And in the Declaration of Independence, we find that the founding fathers found a solution. They wrote, "The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations. Let facts be submitted to a candid world." And they commenced to list over 27 complaints. Now, don't get me wrong, complaining is not the solution. They had petitioned the king several times, and every time it was met with more injury. So they came to the place where they realized they had to sever ties and declare that these united colonies were free and independent states. Complaining wasn't the solution, but the complaint was the realization that led them to the solution. It's kind of like if you have a pebble in your shoe. If I just stand here and announce, I have a pebble in my shoe, and then I go tell everybody, I have a pebble in my shoe, I have a pebble in my shoe, I have a pebble in my shoe, that's a complaint. But if I realize I have a pebble in my shoe, I step back and I take the pebble out of my shoe. That's the realization that led to the solution. Complaining is just a negative draining of energy. But you can turn it around to where it's more useful, productive, that it's a solution-oriented energy that can lead you to a more effective and more enjoyable experience. But in order to do that, in order to turn that energy around, you have to step back. You have to go within, to that place where all wisdom and all knowledge resides. Listen, and you will hear that guidance. You will hear that call. You will find your solution. And that leads me to the fourth element of expressing true freedom, and that's commitment. It takes commitment to live freely. It takes commitment to be true to who you are. It takes commitment to live freely in body, mind, and spirit. And our founding fathers made a commitment to making freedom a reality in our world. They wrote,
Go slowly.
and for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. They were all in. You could say they were willing to put their money where their mouths were. They were willing to give it all for the cause of freedom in our world, because they knew that they were not the content of their lives. And you are not the content of your life. There's so much more to you. There's a power and a presence that flows in and through and as you. There's a creative force that wants to live freely through you, that wants to live abundantly, that wants to live expansively. So I want to ask you this morning, are you willing to commit to living freely in your life? Are you ready to break free from anything unlike freedom in your life? Well, it begins by recognizing who you are. You are a child of the universe, a child of God, intended to live freely in body, mind, and spirit. It means realizing that those things in your life that might not be in alignment with that truth about your being are a contrast, that they're a call for you to realize your God-given promise of freedom. And realizing that, you go within, and you can find that solution by listening to that call, heeding that call, and making the commitment to live freely in body, mind, and spirit. Are you ready to do that this morning? Are you ready to live freely in body, mind, and spirit? I bless you all with all success. Let it be so. And so it is. So we're going to go into a meditation time to think on these things.